Lately, I've noticed that a lot of people I subscribe to have been mirroring the Thunderfoot video about feminism poisoning the atheism community. Now, I'd mirror it myself, but those other people got it handled, and I'm lazy, and anyway. I've also noticed that people have done some responses to it, like Coughlin did one, and this guy named Hannibal the Victor. And as an aside, if you have the Victor in your name, you might just be a loser. I'm going to throw that out there. Anyway, and here's something that's been rolling around in my head for a while, and I haven't said it because it sounds like immature or like I'm just talking shit, and both of those are probably true, but here goes. Sometimes you can tell just by looking at somebody which side of the feminism plus atheism debates that are going to come down on, right? If you look at somebody and they're in physically deplorable condition, they're probably going to side with the P.Z. Myers, Rebecca Watsons, etc., etc. Where if they're not, they're probably going to side with the, hey, let's try to be rational and sensible kinds of people. Okay, now when I say physically deplorable condition, I don't necessarily mean fat, because a person can be thin, but also be all infirm and spongy. What you got to do is look at somebody, and then ask yourself, could this person run a mile? Could this person climb over a fence? Could this person play racquetball for 15 minutes and not die? If the answer to all of these is no, they're probably going to side with the feminist / atheism plus kind of people. Like Thunderfoot, he doesn't look like some sort of badass, but I bet he could run a mile, bet he could climb over a fence, bet he could play racquetball for 15 minutes. Integral math, same thing. I mean, look at the guy. He could do all of those things. Look at me. I could do all of those things. But look at P.Z. Myers. Look at Rebecca Watson. Look at any of these people who are spokespeople for Atheism Plus. That having been said, here's Hannibal the Victor.
Well, it's always nice to watch something collapse colossally, and apparently that's exactly what's happening to atheism right now. Earlier, Thunderfoot posted a video that will be linked in the low bar describing the problems that are thus contained in atheism at this moment have to do with feminism. This speaks more to his beef with P.Z. Myers and people over at Free Thought Blogs than it has to do with anything else. But there's something more important that I want to talk about here for a moment, and we're going to discuss the fact that a while back there was the question put forward to many women of atheist persuasion of why they don't come to conferences more, things of this nature, and they told the people in inquiry that it was because there was a lot of sexists in your ranks.
Now, I'm pretty sure, in fact I'm 100% sure, that Integral Math has in great detail gone over the methodological inadequacies of said survey, and Thunderfoot has gone over how the feminists gassing on about the misogyny themselves are one of the causes of this very problem, so I'm not going to go over those. Just, go research that shit yourself, you lazy bitch.
Now, usually when it's discovered that something like this is occurring, something is amiss, something is askew, people take methods, measures, something of this nature to try and remedy the situation. In other words, to try and include as many people into the fold as they can. That's generally how social movements grow. Ideas of equality and autonomy brought into full force in order that people can actually feel as though they do have some sort of actual responsibility to the movement or actual responsibility to what they're talking about. That has not happened here. I think I need to adjust the camera. That's better. There we go. So, what are we looking at then? Well, at this point, it appears that atheism is divided into two camps. One that is in favor of a more inclusive idea, albeit in the wrong manner, as I will explain here in a little bit, and one that is holding on to ultra-conservative views that are more akin to Christian fundamentalism than anything else. And I'm not talking about the feminists over at Free Thought Blogs, actually. No, we're not.
Yes, akin to Christian fundamentalism, conservative ideas, blah, 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 blah. The thing I like about Thunderfoot is I'm I've mentioned I'm from the show me state, bitch, and Thunderfoot shows me. His video shows examples of what he is talking about. He shows P.Z. Myers talking. He shows Rebecca Watson talking. He shows Surly Amy or whatever talking. He shows clips of what they are saying so that we can judge for ourselves. Now, he provides his own narrative, but he gives some source materials. You, by contrast, are sitting there farting out of your mouth.
First of all, let's be clear. There are a shitload of sexists in the atheist community. There are also conservative thinkers, people who think like Pat Condell, Thunderfoot, people who are trying to chase what they see as heretics out of the group entirely. The reason being that once they chase out the heretics, they can have a purer, more decent form of atheism that will bring in the New World Order or something of this nature. I don't exactly know what the hell they think they're going to do once this has all happened. However, going back to the question that was put forward earlier, why are there not as many women in atheism as we would like? It's for the very same reason that I just described. The sexist, bigoted morons that are in those ranks. People like Thunderfoot and Pat Condell.
See, now when you start throwing around shit like those sexist, bigoted morons, it's almost like you're using this emotionally manipulative language as a substitute for any kind of rational argument. I mean, that's just how it seems to me. And also, Pat Condell, is he even involved? Admittedly, I don't know that much about movement atheism because well, let's face it, I'm self-centered. Movement's not really my thing, but if what Coughlin says is correct, and it probably isn't, Pat Condell is just sort of a free agent who hates on Muslims. I don't think he's actually involved in any of this shit, but I could be wrong about that, and I just don't care enough to check. But Pat Condell, I don't think he's part of this conversation.
And others, of course. Integral Math. I mean, there's any number of these idiots out there. Women don't feel comfortable going to these conferences because of the behavior of some of the men that are there. And unfortunately, all of us get lumped in that category at some point. But they're not saying it's all of us, first of all. And two, having rules, boundaries, and limitations in a conference or in society in general has been the order of things for thousands upon thousands of years. Conferences are not there to go hook up and make weird jokes.
Well, that's an understandable perspective if when you go to a conference, nobody laughs at anything you say and you don't get laid. But if you have the experience of being funny and getting laid, then that appears to be precisely what said conferences are for. Just, differing perspectives, man. I mean, if you want to be all serious and shit, why don't you just stay in your little internet cave and watch videos?
You're there to network, you're there to meet people, you're there to exchange information, you're there to bring about some sort of understanding of the goals, probabilities, and actual things that are being done by the movement in and of itself. You're there to work, essentially.
Oh my God, I fucking hate you and everyone like you. Jesus fucking Christ, will you die? I'm sorry, that's a little harsh. Just seriously, I mean, you're just a wet blanket, okay?
You're not just there to dick off for a weekend. At least the conferences that I have been to have not been about dicking off for an entire weekend.
'Cause none of the cool kids invited you to dick off, son.
They're serious matters. That's what the panel's for, the lectures are for, those kinds of things. Now, afterwards, people can socialize all they want, but that doesn't mean that you just simply stop acting like a normal human being and decide to do something that would make someone uncomfortable.
Oh, well, how magnanimous of you to allow people to socialize. But here's the thing about socializing. If you're socializing with people and somebody makes you feel uncomfortable, well, then you can always find a group of people who are more suited to your delicate sensibilities. Or, if you're socializing with some people and they seem like a bunch of uptight fucking prigs, well, then you can similarly find a group of people who is a bit more liberal in their behaviors. It's the joy of human interaction. See, you don't have to get the people around you to tailor their behaviors to you. You can just find a group of people who are like-minded. There's like 6 billion people on the planet, so I mean, you're bound to find somebody, and if you don't, you know, I mean, you gotta say, hey, maybe, just maybe, I should alter my operating system just a little bit, or sit in a basement with a bookshelf behind me and make internet videos. You bore me, Hannibal the Victor. We are through. Let's see what Coughlin has to say.
So, this is as quick a response as I could make to Thunderfoot, who just made a video called Feminism is Poisoning Atheism. I have never described myself as a feminist, and I never would, really. I don't get into the whole crotch wars here on YouTube. But the idea that feminism is poisoning atheism, that's a very broad statement, isn't it?
Whoa, Dick. Isn't that a little sexist, calling it a broad statement?
It's funny, isn't it, how this idea that feminism is poisoning atheism only came about, in your mind, in the last 3 months, when you had just so happened to get booted off of free thought blogs.
Well, that's just people for you. People generally aren't aware of problems until they get bit right in the ass by it. Like, Thunderfoot's probably like, oh, hey, there's no problem with feminism in this atheist community, la-da-da-da-da, and then he's like, say, perhaps we should do some sort of study to see if this harassment thing really is a problem so that we can determine what kind of solutions we might implement. And PZ Myers is like, fuck you, misogynist, get your shit out of here. And then Thunderfoot's all like, what the fuck happened to me? Whoa, I didn't see this coming. And then all of a sudden, because of his personal experience, he becomes aware of this. I think it was more than 3 months ago, though, but, you know, let us not quibble.
After 12 days. Now, I know there are plenty of feminists out there who are lunatics, but there are plenty out there who are not. And don't try and pretend, Thunderfoot, that this is anything more than just you taking your petty little squabbles with people and projecting it into some ideological crusade. Nothing is... The great thing about these words like feminism, atheism, religion, all these fucking labels, like, you know, the political labels we have, the other standpoints we have, we invented them. And as a result, we can make them mean whatever we want.
Wrong, motherfucker. I invented them, and therefore they mean what I say they mean. Not you, not Thunderfoot, not anybody. Me. Me. Nah, I'm just fucking with you. But I'm getting bored with you too. So, even though this video had very little focus or purpose, have a nice evening, everybody.